Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. All right everyone, welcome to my 2025 stats and recap video. And as I promised, this will also have my kind of like journal overview of what 2026 is going to look like. I'm not doing a ton of goals for 2026, so this will hopefully not be too much of overwhelming info dump. I wasn't going to rewatch my 2025 goals because I felt like I'd probably failed a lot of them. And we're going to talk through a little bit of that because I don't know. I think that, and this can come at any time. It's kind of like when you have a business, which, by the way, side note, this is my business. And when you're only doing it as yourself, you have to reflect on is this a failure or not? And that's not where this conversation is going to go, because the goals you make for BookTube are all arbitrary anyway. And you just have to be really careful with your mental health of what you decide is a failure and what you decide is a success. And that's something that doing this for 8 years and 4 of them as a full-time job at this point. Is it really 4? Is it really going to be 4? Yeah, it's going to be 4. You just have to be really careful where you put those lines at. And the parts where I'm a success, I definitely feel like a success. But the parts that have to do with goals and how much I read, that's something that I'm as susceptible to as anyone, because those are the arbitrary number part, right? The part that's important is, am I paying my bills? Am I feeding myself? Am I, living a life that I'm proud of and that I can sleep at night? And that is absolutely a success. And there's no question to that part of it, right? So that's why when I look at these goals and things, is making these goals, it sounds so dramatic, but is it harder on my mental health to make goals that I'm not hitting that are then hindering me than it is to just, be doing my best every month and, pleasing my patrons, which are who actually help pay my bills, and channel members and things like that. But I still want to do a recap because I know that on the general scale of things, I read, an infinite amount more than some people could ever dream of doing, and they still love hearing these things. And I like looking at them. I drug my feet getting this recap put together, not only just because I was busy, I am working on Patreon stuff and it's still end of the year things. And there was New Year's parties to go to, and my author just had a book release to help with. And so there was a lot going on the beginning of the year. But yesterday I was working on getting the video ready, and I was actually pretty impressed with myself. And I was like, this isn't anything to roll my eyes at or scoff at. This was still a very successful year, and it got me even more a little bit excited for 2026. So what we're going to do is, normally when I do these videos, because like I said, I did look back at 2025's video like this, I usually do there's a BookTube tag that's what your goals are. That's what I'm not reproducing this year, but I am gonna kind of touch on a few things from that one, just to say the things I didn't do. But there is a tag with questions, and I will I will link that video up here if you want to watch it, but I'm not going to follow the structure of that anymore because I'm gonna deviate from it. But it was fun to watch, particularly the one where I predicted what my 5-star reads were gonna be. I totally forgot what that was, but because I just watched it, I'll tell you, I predicted 3 of my 5-star reads would be Firebird, Unloved by Peyton Corinne, and Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. And I gave all of those 5 stars. Well, I think I was predicting 6-star reads but I gave them all 5 stars, which is what the tag was for. So that was kind of cute because that's what I predicted, and I did give all those books 5 stars, so that was really cute. And I also said I should just list all of Julia Wolf, but I'll pick something other than Julia Wolf. And if you just watched my top 10 of the year, I had 2 Julia Wolfs that were 6-star reads. So I also called it without even putting her on the list, I called that she would be my favorite as well. So that part was cute of it. But a lot of the things about guessing what tropes will be popular and what will happen with that, I'm just not really doing that this time around. Because honestly, who could have predicted where the market was going to go this time around and everything, and where, I mean, I think I knew like sports is always in. It kind of just rotates what sports it's going to be. But who the hell knew that we were going to come into the hockey the way that we were? Because I mean, I think we knew that I think we knew that the off-campus series was picked up, because that one was in but I don't think anybody even knew that Game Changer was picked up, because, right, they didn't even start with that, like, that didn't even get announced until January, and we got it for that, right, because that whole thing was so I don't think anyone could have predicted where that was going to go. So I just love sometimes the market moves so slow, and like Book Talk's already so far ahead of it by the time that stuff catches up, and sometimes it moves at the speed of lightning with just one thing pushing it over the top, which is nuts. But anyway, we'll start this off with the overall stats of what it was by going through because that's what I spent yesterday doing, was transferring over. And then, like I said, we'll go through what I had in this book journal, which I still haven't even decorated this one yet. I always feel so much pressure to myself to decorate the journal, which this year I have this pretty purple one that one of my people sent from my registry earlier this year. I have a gift registry. Makes me sound like I'm having a baby, but with different supplies and stuff that I want. Sorry, I want my lighting to stay, so maybe I can't hold that up. But I always have a lot of pressure of like which stickers to put on it and how to decorate it. So I haven't done that yet, but I should show off. You guys never see the back, but I really loved the back of this one this year. I had one from Bulrush Ranch. This was a sticker from Brooke Montgomery. I love this sticker. So cute. I have a historical romance book club one, a fire breathing bitch queen. This one was from Throne of Glass, and I had a Spice tarot card. I love picking stickers. I had one from Mount Rushmore. I went to Mount Rushmore this year with my sister, which is so cool. So I have a lot of pressure picking which stickers to put on, so I haven't done that yet, but I will now that I'm fully switching over to this one. Well, not fully quite, because I still do have some December reads that I'm finishing up, and then I'll be to this one. So, okay. As always, I talk too much. I actually have a coffee this morning. I usually have been having energy drinks, but I stocked back up on my cold brew. So I have, I got some white chocolate mocha skinny syrup for Christmas from Mama Julie. And then I stocked up on some cold brew. So I have white chocolate mocha cold brew in my adorable Caribou thermos here. So, all right. Here I have my spreadsheet where I entered all of my stats into. So we'll just go over. So basically, what I'm going to do is that, like, when I do a monthly wrap up, I do the stats of a monthly wrap up where I say the pages and the books and the pages and go through. This is just going to be a supersized one of those is what I'm going to start this video off with, because I added everything up, and I'm actually shooketh. Because I did so much better than I thought. Like, I love this. Like, okay, let me backtrack some more again, okay? So my goal always for the last 6 years, I think, has been 365 books, okay, which I know is a lot, but I usually read way more than that. You guys know this. I have a lot of rereads I do. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I read fan fictions, and yes, I count those as a read book. I just don't count them on, I really try not to count them, I should say, on Goodreads. There were still some from this year that were counted, because it was this year that I started either using a blank entry, which you can do. Some people have created these on Goodreads who have like librarian power. They've created a blank entry that you can just use as a blank if you want to track. Anyway, if you want to track one. Or I just stopped tracking it on Goodreads, and I was only tracking it in my book. And so on Goodreads, I wasn't hitting my Goodreads goal, and it was just making me like sad. And so I lowered my Goodreads goal to like 325, just because I'm like anyone else, you guys. I get anxious when I'm not hitting a goal, and it was making me feel bad about myself. In December, when I've been having my like cognitive issues, I've shared about this in too many videos. We're not going to talk about that in this one really, because that's not what this one is about. I'm proud of myself and the year that I've had. But I lowered it to 325 because I was like, that goal is basically arbitrary anyway. But also, I usually read almost 500 books. I have since 2019, I've read 500 or more books. So 365 is always this like cheeky thing, I tell you guys, where it's a book a day keeps reality away. And so the fact that I wasn't going to hit 365 books, I was having a bit of a like, I don't know, a little bit of a mind crisis about it, that I wasn't going to hit this. So I was like, it so doesn't matter, Jen. And I lowered it to 325 so that I could easily hit it. But again, I forgot that like, I was still tracking all the fanfics in my book. I just wasn't tracking those on Goodreads. And I also wasn't, sometimes like, you know, in December, I also did reread Heated Rivalry like 3 times. I read The Long Game 3 times. A couple other things I reread that just didn't get tracked right, but I tracked them in my reading journal. So when I put the numbers in my spreadsheet, I don't go off of Goodreads. I go off of my reading journal because that's where it's correct. And so all that being said, I actually read 361, you know, works of fiction or works of written something, which is literally like what my goal was then. I thought I was lower than that. And again, it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. But like when we set our goals, we like to hit them. And I had lowered my goal because I was so self-conscious about it. And I hit 361. So I read 361 things. And that was 134,040 pages. So fantastic. Really proud of myself for that. And again, we'll talk about all the goals for what I'm hoping for in 2026 in the next phase of this video. But that is the overall, based on what is in my reading journal, what I read. 361 things and 134. Now, I do have the other last year's pulled up here just to do, oops, come on, little comparison. Like last year, I had 484, which I'm not going to compare with everything, but I do think it's interesting of like, there definitely is a change in how things kind of like played out for me, for sure. Okay, now let's talk about what the formats were. And this year I did differentiate between, what did I add? Let me see here. This is something I want to mention. I differentiated out ALCs from just plain audio. So I like split this category. This is where I changed something up. To like spread it out. Because in 2024, it was just near the end of the year, I believe, that I started doing ALCs with Must Love Audio. That was near the end of 2024. I think that I started doing that. So I just counted those as audiobooks. And it's in this year that you guys know, I did more ALCs almost than ARCs, as you'll see. Did I do more ALCs than ARCs? I did. Wow, I did. Okay. So the formats of the books, I did 109 ARCs, and these would be e-ARCs. So I read them on my Kindle, or even had a physical ARC of some of them, because you guys know I combine these. Ebooks, meaning that it was Kindle or KU, I had 119. Physical books, I had 123. And then if it was an audio, but like I bought it, or it was like, well, yeah, if I bought it or it was, yeah, I think that means that I bought it or used a credit for it on Audible. I had 47. And then if it was an ALC through Must Love Audio, NetGalley, or one of the other PR companies, I had 114. So when you add that together between audio and ALCs, you can see that I would have had, oh man, I can't do math that quick in my head with the slowness, but I think like 161 or something of my reading would have been by audio. And remember, those things stack because I often have the physical copy and the ebook and the audiobook, or particularly with ALCs, if the ebook comes out while I'm still listening to it, I will get the KU and read along with it to give the author reading pages while I'm listening. But ALCs was the new category that I differentiated out from audiobooks. And it also lowered the number of books that I was buying an audiobook for or using a credit on, and actually saved me a lot of money buying audiobooks because now I was getting advanced copies, which that is one of the perks of being an audio reviewer. I highly recommend it. If it's something you love to do, get signed up on NetGalley has them. Start signing up with Valentine PR does them. Get on the wait list for Must Love Audio. They let new people on every now and then. And it's a great way to get early copies and save money with that because, yeah, audiobooks. Well, I mean, of course, there's Libby and there's those two. Like, those were absolutely a thing beforehand. But, saved me a lot of money having that. Okay, now these subgenres. This is something that I always end up keeping the same because I feel like I have it dialed down to where it breaks up the best. Maybe someday I'll change those up, but I've already set up my reading journal again to use these same subgenres again. So yeah, here are the subgenre breakdown here, which is so interesting. Okay. Here we go. So we'll compare in a second here. So for this year, I read 168 contemporary books. I read 65 dark romance. I read 11 dystopian, 24 erotic romance, 12 fan fiction, 24 or 23 historicals, 25 fantasy, 9 paranormal, 6 sci-fi, 8 suspense, and 10 that were other. So like straight up almost half were contemporary this year, which is nuts. So like really such a huge change of like, I just did not read diversely in subgenre much this year, like truly. And it's wild too, because the most diversely areas was like, I read some erotic, but let's be real, like the erotic romance is all contemporary too. So that really could be folded into contemporary. And dark romance, that one's all contemporary as well. It's just being put into dark there. So like really, I've read like all contemporary this year, with just a little part of it being that fantasy, historical, sci-fi, and dystopian being such a small part of it being outside of contemporary. And again, I don't have official goals this year you'll see, I didn't even make goals for my fantasy and historical this year just because I haven't been doing it. So I'm realizing I'm not super motivated by making those goals. I don't know how to make myself do it when I'm not feeling the pull to it. But I want to be pulled to it. I don't know how to make myself. We'll have to see. But dang, there just has not been the pull for that, which is wild. Because I'll say too, like with the dystopian, you'll see here, I'm gonna go over some other stuff. At least half of those are all books I read for my author. Like more than that. Let's see how many were for her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of those 11 dystopian were all for Claire Kent. So those weren't even ones. I mean, I would have read her books without reading them for her, but because I was already reading her before I worked for her. We know this, but that was all one author is the point. So that's wild too. So anyway, that's just, when we make comparisons in 2024, I read 44 historical, 44 dystopian was about the same. I read 13 dystopian, but I read 44 historical and 34 fantasy, which added together is almost 80 that are like in, and then I read 10 paranormal and 8 sci-fi. So we're at almost 100 books that are not contemporary. So I really, really have fallen into like, I'm like a contemporary reader now, which is just weird to me because my first loves in the genre, in the romance genre, are historical and fantasy. So I don't know, maybe I do need to make it my mission. I need to find what I want out of fantasy and historical again. I really think I'm missing that. We're having a soul searching moment together here. Okay, we still have one other like category to do here, but yeah. But anyway, those were the break. I mean, the breakdown's the breakdown. I'm not like it's not depressing to see, but it's just fascinating because like I knew it was low. I knew it was low from making those top 10 lists I made and how hard it was to find enough 5 stars to make those. Like you guys know this from the romantasy list. I did not have 10 5-star romantasies. I had 5 5-star romantasies and the rest were like 4 and 3.5 star ones, right? Whereas like dark romance, I could find them. But historical, they were not all 5-star ones. They were just which ones were my favorite. So yeah, and again too, to end this, like if I did not have the historical romance book club with Big Sis, with Crystal, there would be 8 of those historicals that I would not have read. And so, you know, like I said, I read 23 of those. And 8 of them I probably wouldn't have read. So we would have been down to like, sorry, doing math backwards. It'd be down to like to 15. And I know for a fact 4 of those were rereads because I reread 4 of the Jennifer Ashley books for patrons. So those wouldn't have been new ones. Those would have been rereads. So then we would have been down to like 11. And I think even 2 more of those were rereads that were other ones. So I think I maybe read 6 and those were all for the readathon that we did. So it's revealing things to me that I'm losing, like that I need to be prompted to read a historical for a purpose, not because I want to read it. And I don't like that about myself. That's what I'm saying. I don't like that I'm in that headspace right now. So anywho, let's get to the final little category here, which is what my ratings were. And this is also interesting too. So you guys know I do have a 6-star rating. But anyway, let's go through this. Okay, so I had 13 6 stars. Again, we'll come back. Okay, so just read it, Jen. I had 13 6 stars, 60 5 stars, 56 4.5 stars, 122 4 stars, 35 3.5 stars. Oh, that's funny. 18 3 stars, 1 2.5 star, 1 2-star, and 4 DNFs, which talked about those ones in the video. But to reiterate back to the top, as I mentioned, only 6 of those 6 stars were new 6 stars. The other ones were rereads for Patreon or to annotate them. So I only had 6 new 6 stars. Whereas in 2024, I had 34 6-star reads and 14 of those were new 6-star reads. So I had about half as many 6-star reads this year. So, yeah. Yep. So yeah, very revealing, you guys. And again, none of this makes me sad. It's just interesting. And I'm hoping that my plans, like I said, I hope that my more vague plans coming up will revitalize some of this going on. But a little bit more to wrap up for the year. So a couple things, like I've shared this in some videos, and I know I'm not the only one. This is, again, none of this is a pitying thing. This is just giving you facts about stuff. I thought for sure I would easily be at 25K on my YouTube this year. Growth was very, very slow this year. I didn't even fully write stuff down this time. I should at least make a mark in my journal this year because I haven't as of yet. But I thought for sure we would have hit 25K. My growth at YouTube very much has stalled out, which I knew could and would happen. Like, that just happens when you get to a point you reach saturation. I also haven't changed much about my channel in a very long time. And so you do reach a peak where, you know, I don't change about how I film. I don't change about how I edit. I just keep reading and reviewing and doing the same type of videos all the time. I'm not chasing the trends. I just read and I review the way that I do, right? And so I'm not seeking out the new readers. I'm not following what's popular. I'm just being me. And so word of mouth to some degree can point new people to you. But there's going to be people who get bored with you. There's going to be people who their reading taste changes, so they're not interested in you. Like, I'm not doing a ton to like bring new people in. I'm not reading the hottest things. And so I only had a growth, I believe, of I had less than 2,000 new subscribers this year. And so I did not hit 25K. I'm still about, you know, if I had the same growth this year as I did last year, I will hit 25K in 2026. So hoping at least for like equal growth this year as last year, that would be great. To at least stay the same level of growth would be good. But yeah, I even had a couple months where like, it's just crazy. I've never had so many where I've like daily, like losing some people is really like weird. Of course it's not impossible. It happens. And then to go sometimes where like videos are just like not even hitting normal, like, whereas I'll make like a short and that will be like my most viewed video of the week, but shorts don't really promote your channel. And I don't like want them to either. Cause if you go like partially viral for a short where you're just sharing a couple of recommendations, that's not what your whole channel is about. And so that's not necessarily helpful. Like, even right now, when I look at what my top 10 videos are, I made a cute little video about heated rivalry, which, to be fair, a few of my recent videos, I've talked a lot about heated rivalry because it's what's on my mind. But in my top 10 videos, there's only 4 of them that are long form videos and all the rest are shorts. And I don't like that. Like, I don't want to see shorts doing better than my regular content, because my regular content is what pulls people in to subscribe to you, is what makes money for your channel, is what gets people to want to, again, subscribe to your Patreon, which that's what makes, you know, if someone's willing to pay to watch you or even subscribe for free to your Patreon, that's someone who's going to be a viewer, right? That's something that I watch, because it's not even just about if someone wants to subscribe to your Patreon as a paid member. If they are following you on your Patreon, even for free, it probably means they're watching your channel regularly, which is getting you revenue that way, right? That, again, that's business side of things. And if people are just watching shorts and everything, they're not people who are like committed to you. That's just mindless, like scrolling on YouTube, right? So it's just weird. YouTube just pushes you more and more and more to tack sale things onto your channel. And I don't know about you, but like, that's not exciting to me. Also, they want so much engagement to happen. A lot of people watch on their TVs. People don't comment as much as they used to. People don't like or subscribe as easily as they used to. Like, I watch all of YouTube on my TV. Like, seriously, I watch all of it. So it's just very interesting, right? So I don't know the best way to like switch that up. I don't want to become a controversial figure to get more engagement, to get people subscribed, because you lose people. If you gain people that way, you lose people that way. So the best thing has always been for me is to continue to be genuine and get people through who I genuinely am. And then the people who choose to stick around, who become a channel member or a Patreon subscriber, I can build a deeper relationship with them. And through then that even distilled down even more amount of people that, you know, between channel memberships and Patreon is about 200 people. Those people are who, as I've said, who fund what I do here, who make it possible that I do this full time. And between that and working for my author and my other little side hustles that I do allow me to do this full time, which is crazy, right? Like, it's crazy that I'm able to do this full time. It's wild. And yeah, it's just crazy. So anyway, yeah, so that's a mini goal for YouTube. Really the only one that I have. I do want to continue making the videos that I want to make and to not be influenced by that. Like that, I guess I said that that's my goal. You know, that's always been my goal and I love that. So I'm going to keep doing that. A few other things, just video wise, though, I do still want to make, for January, it will happen. I'm going to make the video about what I hope to see in future romance adaptations based on what happened with Heated Rivalry, but it won't only focus on Heated Rivalry. It'll focus on, some other ones I hope to make. The other piece that I recently just decided I want to do is I want to look up and see all romance adaptations that have been mentioned, that they've been picked up, that people have gotten excited about them being bought, talk about how likely it is I think they're actually going to be made into something, and how likely it is I think they could be true to what happened, if there's hope for them to be really good ones, things like that, and talk about the Heated Rivalry effect and if it will have any effect, something like that. So I want to make that. I will, of course, be reviewing the final season of Outlander. That is coming so soon. That's coming in March. Though I will say, Lord willing, I don't want to like spill this because it is not official now, but I'm hoping there's going to be a trip I'm going on around my birthday. And Outlander, of course, comes back in March. So there may be a little bit of something going on with where I might be out of town when Outlander comes back. So you'll have to forgive me for that. But there's a trip that I'm really, really, really hoping to go on for my birthday this year. And if that happens, Outlander will just have to wait. But I mean, I'll definitely be around for that. I'm very much looking forward to it. And then, yeah, I want to come up with a fun series to do this year. I don't mean TV, like a fun series of videos to do. Is something else with Outlander that I've been contemplating doing. I've mentioned it to my Patreon, that I had a lot more hope of doing before the medication that I started. I'm hopeful I'll still be able to do it because my medication my brain has started to come back online, as they say, a little bit as I've been on the medication now longer. I'm starting to feel a little bit sharper again. So hopefully I will, because this project that I want to do that involves Outlander, like, it would take a lot out of me. So I don't know. But hopefully I could do that. So yeah. But yeah, otherwise, I'd love to know if there's any videos you'd like to see or ideas you have. As always, I'll move it to the top of the description if I remember to, but I always have a form down below if there are videos you'd like to see. I really do look at that. I haven't looked at it in the last month because I had videos already planned for it. But particularly in January and February when it's just harder to know what to do after the like crash of the end of the year. I'm always looking for video ideas. I want to do some recommendation videos, but my mind is just kind of fried from all of the favorites of the year stuff. So if there's any videos you'd like to see, definitely let me know. So yeah, let me know about that. Let me see. Was there any other stuff? Oh yes. Okay. So now one of the other things I wanted to wrap up is my work with Noelle/Claire Kent this year, and not wrap it up as if I'm done, but like what I like helped with this year. So that was one of the really fun changes in 2025 is I took on technically it's my like second author like role. Like I did work with I've shared this before, it's not a secret. I did work with Maggie Cole in 2022 for a little while. Honestly, when I first was that like the first year I was on my own? I don't know. But I worked with Becky Hall for a little bit on social media, and neither of us really knew what we were asking of each other. It was a good experience, and I learned a lot from her, so none of it went bad. It's just we weren't really in sync at that time, and because she didn't fully have a plan of what we were doing with each other, it lasted for about like 6 months, and then she was like, I'm sorry, I don't really have a use for this right now, and I feel like it's costing more money than what's happening. And I was like, no, I totally get it. So we parted ways, very friendly with that. But that was my first experience with that. And then I just got so busy building up my business too that I had never thought about it. But I was seeing other, content creators working with authors. And I just didn't know fully like what skills I had to offer. I've wanted to get better with graphics, and I've been interested in helping, but I'm not really one, I've done some like beta reading, you guys know, but I'm not really one to be on the like editing side or to give authors advice about like their characters or stuff like that. And so I just didn't know what skills I could like offer an author, And then, sorry if you guys have heard this, but it's fun. Like I said, I'm wrapping up what we've done together in 2025. And then literally I think it was around Thanksgiving of 2024, she mentioned that she wanted to take someone on who could help with content pulls for her. And at first that's like all she was looking for. And she said like what she would be like offering. And it was okay if you weren't fully aware of all of her stuff, but someone who could read, do content pulls. She would maybe help with newsletters, and just to send her an email with your info. And like, I was like, are you kidding me? I think I could do that. And at the time, I think she was offering 20 to 25 hours a month or something like that. And I was like, I think I could do that. Read her books, pull content. Hell yeah, let's go. And so it was funny because I literally like, I had already had a resume like tilted towards books like built up. Cause like I said, I'd been curious about it, and I'd been seeing there'd been a few authors that had, put out like send your info here. And I actually had I'd sent one out to, I won't tell you who they were, but I'd sent one out to like 2 other authors before, but I can tell I probably wouldn't have been a good fit. They were probably looking for someone a little bit more glamorous than me, because it would have been for more like in-person stuff with them, like to go to events and stuff like that. Which is totally fine. And I know the people that ended up getting jobs with those authors, and they definitely fit them, which is wonderful. Totally meant to be with them. But I didn't hear anything for a while. And then, she sent me one, and she's like, hey, I'm just letting you know I got this email. I'm just going through everybody's, like applications to me, but just letting you know I got it, and I'll get back to you soon. And I was like, okay. And then it was, I think, only like 2 weeks before the end of the year, and she's like, I'm sorry it took me so long, but you're the one I want. So if you still want this, would you be willing to start the like January 1st? And she actually had and again, this wasn't a secret, she had a little surgery she was going to be having literally like January 1st of 2025. And she's like, I'd love to have you start if we could just have a phone call the end of the year so I can get you set up. And I was like, literally, I could not believe it. I thought this was a joke. And she's like, no, you have all the experience I want. And obviously too, she was like, I know you love my books, and that's just what I'm looking for. And literally, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And so, yeah, that's when I started with her. And right away too, she, had one of the books to send me. And that's what I'm going to like share for you just real quickly, because I wanted to, is which books I've like helped with, and also explain like what I do for her, because I think it's interesting to know what I've helped with and how it's kind of evolved, which again, this is without sharing any, of course I'm not going to share confidential stuff with her or anything anyone's not allowed to know, because that's private and, like NDA level type of stuff. But what was fun in that first call was just hearing what stuff was coming up and which projects were being told, and getting way back then the tip off that there was going to be like the Kickstarter coming, like having to keep that secret, that she was going to be involved with this Kickstarter that was coming, and like who was going to be involved in this Kickstarter, and hearing that this author I love so much was going to have her name connected with like Allie Hazelwood and like all these people. And I was just like, this is so fucking big. Like I was so pumped about it. And the first book that was going to be coming was Devotion. And so literally she sent me that like right away. And like I said, she was going to be having surgery. So it was kind of just, she sent me an example of what she was looking for. And I started with just doing content pulling for her, which is where you read the book. And I was getting like the character descriptions and then pulling quotes that could be used for the promo material. That's what I started off doing for her. And then this is material that gets used in newsletters and in stuff for her Instagram, because we were starting to build up her Instagram, and she can use it in ads and all that stuff. And then she ended up making special editions of some of the books too, which is really cool. But this was the first one, and this was so fun because, again, I'm not like a first reader for these. She has a first reader group. She has editors. She has beta readers. She has all of that. So I'm basically almost like a first arc reader for her, which is great because there's no pressure on me to like catch anything. I am her number one fan. That's what I've named myself. I'm number one fan and hype woman. And so I read through and I just get to read it. And I mean, if I do notice stuff, like I'll tell her, but in general, like they haven't had like fully final edits yet. So I don't have to catch things. I don't have to worry about that. I just get to read her books and just geek over them. And so Devotion was a book that, like, if you read this, you know that, and I can even tell you, like, this connects with the Kindle world, which is my, like, favorite thing ever. Sorry, this isn't supposed to be a review of her books, but I'm sharing with you what the experience was like. And when you get to the end of this book, if you've read the Kindle books, you know this connects with them. And this, the hero in this one is the kid of someone from a book in the other one. But there are just a few tiny hints, like there are little hints, and you don't even fully know what year that this is. Like you don't realize that this is the, what year this takes place after the impact, because they don't call it the impact anymore in this part of the world, you know, which would make sense because if all communication was cut off, like just think of simply like places call pop soda or soda pop, you would call things something different depending on where you live, right? So it's called impact in one place and it's called like blackout somewhere else. Like, so you just knew it's dystopian and you don't realize it's the same. And there's only these couple little hints that this is even the same world-ending event. Like I thought it was just she's starting a new dystopian series. But then you get to the end and this couple shows up at a place called Haven Farm, and the dude's parents step out and they introduce themselves, and it's these fucking people from back there. And this is the first book she's given me to do this for. And literally I'm like, she's gonna think I'm such a freak because I sent her this email when I finished this book at 1 a.m. and I'm like, holy shit, this is this guy's kid. And I just sent her this email, just all these exclamation points, and she was like, I loved your reaction and everything. So this was the first one. And I absolutely love doing that. So, I had the best time with that. So the books that I got to work on with her were Devotion. Then there was In Flight, which was a Noelle Adams title, which, this has been probably, I mean, obviously I won't say that. The Claire Kent books are definitely the most fun because Claire Kent was how I came to know Noelle, was through Claire Kent. Last Light is my favorite, of hers of all time. The special edition of this, I'll never get over it. I love it. But I have gotten to know her Noelle Adams title so well. Those were the ones I needed to read the most because I had only read, I'd been on her ARC team for the last 3 years before I got this role. So I've been reading Noelle Adams titles, but I did not realize how many she had. I hadn't even heard of most of these. And so In Flight was the first release that was a Noelle Adams title. And this one's just a cute, like, little novella that's like a commuter romance, which is really cute. Most people haven't heard of this one. So, of course, I'm going to link these down below for you to check out. So I worked on that one. Then there was Protected, which I actually have both versions of this one. So Protected is a, like, prequel book that connects with Kindle as well, and is kind of, so this one takes place just 2 years after Impact, and this one will lead into Lost Song, which is coming very soon. Actually, I'm supposed to get the advanced copy of that one anytime now, and that one's coming March 6th, I think. So I got to work on Protected, which she actually released as a serial, which was really cool. She's going to be doing that one with the next book in this series, though that has got pushed. That was supposed to start, but Noelle doesn't force herself to write the books when she's not feeling them, so sometimes that means they get pushed, which is sad, but that's how it works. And then I actually worked on Brood pretty early in the year, the one for the Kickstarter, so I can't even remember where that fit in, but technically that one came out, so technically the next one that you guys saw was Tower, which was a huge hit. Love that. Tower is the first in her post-apocalyptic fairy tales, and these ones have been doing amazing. I actually don't have Ashes yet, which, I mean, we'll include that one in the 2026 books because that just came out this last week. But Ashes I should actually get in the mail today, because that one, she sent that one to me as well, but I don't have it yet. But this one is like a Rapunzel reimagined, and this one has just done so well. And she did these special editions of these on her website that are just so cute. They have art in them, and they're like the size of like a little Harlequin romance, which I just love. So yeah, Tower, this one is book 1 in that series. And then Brood was in the After the End Kickstarter, which is how a lot of new readers have found Claire Kent titles, which has been amazing. And that's part of the reason why Tower has done so well, is because Tower came out right around the time of the Kickstarter, and people who are reading the Kickstarter, Noelle is kind of the author that had like the biggest boost off of that Kickstarter, to be honest. That's what we're noticing from the analytics side of this, is that a lot of people obviously have heard of Allie Hazelwood. They'd even heard of Elizabeth Stevens, and they'd heard of, a lot of people, not as many had heard of Kate C. Wells, but like Sherry Thomas was in that one, and Elizabeth Stevens and Adriana Herrera, and people had heard of theirs, but a lot of people hadn't heard of Claire Kent, and a lot of people liked Claire Kent's. In fact, I do say so myself, hers was a lot of people's favorites. I mean, just based on the ratings. And so that led a lot of people who read that. And I know this because I'm going to get to this, but I then have taken over her ARC team now, and I've taken over a lot of, I do all of the like influencer, signups and the giveaways, and dealing with all that and everything. And I had a lot of people sign up for Ashes, which, as I just mentioned, that one just came out, who they had never read Claire Kent before Brood. But after Brood, they read Tower, and then they read Ashes, and now they're reading all of her books. Like, they found it because of that Kickstarter, which is amazing. Like, that's so exciting. And I have people messaging her literally every day who want a copy of Brood, and I can't share how that's going because that is secret stuff. But I mean, this isn't a secret. Like, the rights to that belong in the Kickstarter still through most of 2026. So you cannot get that individually for a long time yet. It is in the Kickstarter still. But one thing I believe will be coming is the possibility to get it in an ebook outside of the Kickstarter soon. But you will not be able to buy it apart from the Kickstarter for quite some time. That's not even something I'm keeping a secret. We don't have a date yet when it will be separate. We just know that it will someday be separate. And when it is separate, Claire will rewrite it a bit because it will fit into the Kindle world. And if you're one of the people who've read it, you probably realize that it could very easily fit into the Kindle world. All she would really have to do is, literally like how it ends, she could just add a character we know into it and it would fit. So it will fit into the world somehow. So Brood was another one I worked on. And then the other two were her nonfiction book on writing, which I know I've mentioned multiple times. I love this book. I really, really do. I don't even have plans to be a writer, but I've said this to many people now. If you love her books, even a little bit as much as I do, this book is called Writing Invisible, and it says building a career in genre fiction while going mostly unnoticed. And this is basically her story of how she started writing and does this as a working author without ever being the biggest out there, and how she does a faceless job of it, and how she does it all indie, and how she made mistakes, and how she's gotten where she is now. And honestly, I love it because it's her journey of being an author. And I've said this too, like, I cried multiple times reading this. She shares about her journey and how she lost her parents while being an author, how she, you know, struggled for years and years and years to break in, and finally realized that, like, well, maybe breaking in just means doing what I love and getting paid to do it. And I don't need to be the New York Times bestseller at this all the time. It just means getting paid to do what I love and meeting my needs, right? And I just loved it. So it's not really long. I think it's like 150 pages, and I loved this so much. So she was like, you really don't have to read this one if you don't want to. And I was like, no, I literally devoured it. And to me, it's because I love her books, and obviously I really care about her too as a person, and just how she changed my life with her stories. And so I've just been encouraging people who are her fans, and or if you really want to write and you find it really intimidating to break in, she goes over a lot of different strategies, and I just think that's really encouraging in here. So anyway, really love that one. And then the final one is this super cute, her Christmas book, Only December, that she did as Noelle Adams. This is the little special edition that she actually had this done as a gift for her ARC readers, and then obviously for me too. And there are still some of these available on her website if you still want to get a Christmas book. There was only a limited amount of these printed, but it's really hard to show up on here, but it has the gold foil for this, and on the side, and then on the back it says It's Joy. And this was an age gap housekeeper and the grumpy owner. And it's just so cute. So this was her little Christmas one. So those were the books that I worked on with her. So just wanted to share that. And yeah, I'm so excited for what's coming next. We just had our January call a couple days ago, and I'm so excited. Mostly some like non-spoiler things I can tell you. If you are an audiobook person and you've just been, I know I have people message all the time asking. She has sold her audiobooks for the fairy tale series is getting done by Podium is doing them, and the pre-order for Tower is actually available now. And I believe that one's going up February 4th. I don't know. It's the first week of February. Tower will be available on audio, and Ashes will be coming soon. And they're hoping for a day and date release for Hooded, which was just announced. Yes, so excited. Hooded will be the third book in the series, and that's coming in July. So the audios are getting caught up with those. She's also going to be producing herself the next few books in the Kindle series. So those will be coming. Currently the first, she worked with a production company for the first, 4 in the Kindle series are done. They've done through, or maybe just the first 2, because there's Princess and Embers are done. And she's going to continue working with the same narrator and do the next few of those. So those will be coming this year. And then her Noelle Adams series, she's going to be doing, that is a Marriage of Convenience series. Those ones are going to have day and date releases for the audios as well. So I've been really encouraging with audio. I'm just saying, I'll toot my own horn. I've really been encouraging with audios because I just know how much I enjoy the audiobooks and how vital they are for me and my reading experience. And I know how many of my viewers and my friends are more likely to pick up a book when they have it for an audio. I mean, you saw at the beginning of this video, a third of all my reading is through audiobooks. So very excited for that. So anyway, that's the bit of my story of this last year that has to do with Claire Kent or Noelle Adams. That is such a fun part of working for her that I just love doing it. And I've gotten, that's the other thing I was going to say. I started just doing content pulls for her, reading her books, doing that. And I've taken over a bit more as it's went, as I've gotten more of a hang of it. And just as I've gotten to know her more. I help with like the newsletter. And as I said, I've taken over the ARC team, which I love doing. And it's really cool to see the other side of things too. You definitely start to learn why people who run ARC teams are the way they are with some things, because people don't follow directions. That's why. But all right, let's look forward to 2026 real quickly here at the very end of this video. Like I said, I don't want to make too much pressure for myself or too many like goals, because often I end up blowing them off anyway. Some of the things that I did, my journal of course looks so messy by the end of the year because you go through everything, but some of the things that I had made, let's look at these here. Some of the fun things I did is I had my year in pages. Here's what that ended up looking like. All the different colors here. Green was a low page day. Orange was a high page day. Can definitely tell that I definitely had more green. The like magenta-ish color is like a medium day in the blue. So those were kind of the average days there. I never did quite finish this. I have to finish up the last one, but this was my like color map of like what genres I was reading. So yeah, purple was contemporary, green was dark romance, orange was I think fantasy. Let's see. Pink was the dark pink was historical romance, light pink was erotic romance. So yeah, you can definitely tell what the heaviest one was there. But yeah, I still need to fill in December's because I didn't get to that. And then my new to me authors, I ended up reading 49 new to me authors, which that's not bad. My goal was up to 60 I wanted to do, so I didn't do too bad there. But those are basically the little challenges in the 2025 one there that were in the journal anyway. And then, like I said, I haven't decorated it yet, but my goals in 2026. So this year, like I said, I'm not going to do 365 this year, even though I did get pretty close. This year, I've bumped it down to 250 is what my goal is going to be. And I think that's good. I think I still want to try to get the 365 because I just love saying a book a day keeps reality away. But 250 seems to be more reasonable. Just for how I've been trending, and I think I'll feel a little less pressure if I go for that. Then this is what my daily reading log will look like this time. I've already started a little bit over here. So this time I'll have 0 to 50, 151 to 300, 301 to 400, 401 to 500, 501 to 650, and 651 and up. I made a cool little chart like this. Woo. This time for tracking the subgenres, I saw a really cool one that was a book Tetris. And I think I made the book Tetris like way too tall, but I thought it was cute. So it'll look like this. So it's called Booktris. And then I have all the different shapes down here in different colors. And so I have like dark romance, contemporary romance, historical, non-romance or other, fantasy, dystopian sci-fi, erotic, paranormal, suspense or thrillers, and fan fiction. So you can see like the ones I do the most usually, I made kind of like smaller ones, which could end up being a pretty boring one now that I've seen how often I read those other ones. But if I want the fun colors in here, I have to read some of these other ones. So you can tell, so far, what have I read? I read a dark romance and a contemporary. right there. This is what I've read so far. But I saw this and I was like, that's really kind of cute. So this will be how I track the subgenres this year. We'll see how that goes. Also this year I did little tabs this time with my washi tape. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay, for tracking my Patreon reads, I made this cute little thing over here. So for January, I'm reading The Countess Conspiracy. And then I made this, I just wanted to be fun. So I did January through August. And then when you flip up, I can do September to December right there. This year I have a little, the graveyard of DNFs. I'll write any I DNF. I do, last year I only DNF'd 4 things. So I think so far I only have 6 little graves. So hopefully there won't be more than that. This will be my Battle of the Books, which I did have in the other one, but it's too messy to show on screen. But I made one again this time. So each month I'll put what my favorite book is, and then we'll have a favorite in the middle. And then, okay, so last year, which I did love how this looked. I will show you this. Sorry. I made some pretty things last year. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. So I had the TBR Bookopoly last year, which was beautiful, okay? And I think I read a total of 3 things off of here, because the way I did the Bookopoly is I did do different categories of book, but then I picked which books I had to choose from because I was trying to read physical copies I owned. Or there was a couple that were like pick an audiobook or read a fanfic, like a couple were, but in general I was trying to read physical books I own, and I think I only did 3 the whole year, right? So even though I loved how this looked, this was a cool design, I was proud of myself. It was cool. But I was like, it didn't actually help. And I was also lazy and didn't want to make that again this time. So I decided to do kind of a bingo board, but a massive one. So I made a book challenge for myself. That is a full page one of these. It has a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a 9x4, which means it's 36. And it just has a ton of different prompts. Okay. So they are basically completely random. I just was on Pinterest and I found a bunch of different challenge boards and I picked a bunch of different prompts. So I've done boards like this before. There was one year, if you guys remember, I used a bunch of different, I used to have trope stickers from Brie from In Love and Words, if you guys remember, and I had a different trope in every one, and that was really fun. I actually did complete that challenge. But I just picked a bunch of different ones here, and I'll read a couple of them to you guys just to help me pick a book sometimes. But these don't correlate to a specific book. So it's not going to lock me into something if I'm feeling really mood ready, but they also do correlate kind of to some books that I have to help push me to them. So just an example for some, I have, a book that has an adaptation, which, that might help with something. It's an MC that has my name, a thriller, something totally different for me, right? Complete a series that you've started. A standalone romance. I hardly ever read those. A book that I'm going to read despite what the cover looks like. That is actually specifically to a few that are in my Kindle. I mean, there's some that I own, but there's specifically, I'll just tell you, there's specifically there's this author, her name is Susan Finetti, who writes this Viking series that I have been wanting to finish for about 3 years, but the covers are so god ugly that I haven't brought myself to finish them. So she's not the only author I can pick because of that, but she is one that I have in mind for that. Reread a childhood favorite. A book that has no romance, which that will probably be one of my only books for the year, or it's not a main point. A book from my wish list, a book with a dragon on the cover, a season in the title, a book that's 10 years old or more. I bought it for the cover, so the opposite of the other one. A book that takes place outside the USA, The story involves a heist. The book with chapter titles. An author I've read 5+ books from or more. A bodice ripper. A dystopian setting. An insta-love, but good. Which, how could I know before I started? I don't know. A missing person kicks off the story. 600 pages or more. Under 200 pages. A beta read for someone. A reverse harem. A debut novel. A one-word title. So you get the point. Like I just picked a whole bunch of different ones. And maybe these will show up in a readathon and I'll be able to double use it. But again, they're really not specific to anything. Maybe I'll use these in conjunction with my book rec form. I haven't been picking a lot of books off of that. Actually, I have to go through there because I know I've read actually 3 or 4 books directly from my book rec form lately. And I need to go through and review those. But this is one of the only challenges in my book journal this year. The other ways are just ways of tracking the books, because I just want to be kind to myself this year, but still have something fun in here. And I did leave a little bit of room in my book in case I come up with another challenge, but that's kind of the only real challenging one. And then I do have a page to track new to me authors again. And I've already read one new to me author. I've read C.R. Jane so far, which was my Patreon read. She was a new to me author. All right. And then so far I just have the calendars in here. I put that at the front this time. And then I have my January TBR already started in here. So that is what I have for that. So, like I said, I'm not going to overdo it with rules and challenges this year. As for, let's say, readathons, I really only have the plan for the Mafia Romance Readathon this year. I truly don't have anything else planned yet. I'd like to maybe do a historical romance readathon again, but I haven't talked with Big Sis yet about it, and I haven't been invited to any other ones yet. I'd be open to if anyone asked me into any. I definitely would be into that. But I don't know about planning any others. I really want to focus on being more on top of my Patreon this year, being able to do more annotated books, and just getting more on top of my schedule with that. I do want to be, I say this all the time, but I want to be more strict about how many arcs I'm doing. I'm doing pretty good with that for January. I mean, it's only January, but I'm doing pretty good with that. I want to do between 10 to 15 arcs and not get anywhere near some of the 20 to 25 I was doing in some months of 2025. So that I have more room to read where I want, you know? And yeah, so yeah, I know this video was all over the place. I knew it was going to be a chatty time, but it's a time of reflection. It's a time of, you know, goal casting a little bit, but I hope that this year of letting myself wander a little bit can really lead to some like renewed like excitement about it, because I am excited about what it could be, you know, but sometimes you have to have that time of like not being there so that you can really feel it the next time. You know, we can't always be go, 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 go. Sometimes we have to have that bit of like calm, you know, so that we can be really pumped up for the next thing. And that's, I think, where I'm at. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And I mean, by all means, let me know some of your goals for the next year. And like I said, I'll leave a link for if you have any video ideas. If you know, I do always have the book rec form too. Let me know if there's some books you really think I need to read in 2026. I'd love to hear that. And yeah, definitely check out my Patreon, check out channel memberships. That is still where like my focus it always is before like, you know, a lot of anything else. That's where I want to be my very best. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being on this journey with me. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.